practice the check constraint. So let's first create a bunch of fields, and then we will apply the check constraints to these fields. Apply our first check constraint on the status field. For example, in this table, the status field can only have two values, either A for active or I for inactive. So if I want to force that rule that anybody who's doing the data entry for this table cannot enter a value in the status other than those two values, so my constraint will go like this. Constraint name, constraint type. It is on field status, and the only allowed values are A or I. So as long as the value of status is either A or I, it will go through. Otherwise, it will deny. To implement a check constraint on Social Security field, which is already a unique constraint, but I want to put in a cap on it so that the only allowed values are between 0 and 9 nines. So I will apply constraint name, constraint type, and this is on Social Security field, as long as the value is within the range of 0 and so you can actually use an AND operator and provide an exclusive range. That means 0 and 999 are not included in the range. Another constraint we want to apply is on the hire date. That hire date must be greater than birth date. So you can actually, in the constraint condition, you can compare two fields of the same table, as long as they're in the same table. So constraint hire date very similarly, I can list more than two values. For example, in status, I only listed A or I to be the valid status. For example, if I, in this particular workplace, have some job classifications that the person could either be hired as junior, senior, manager, or temporary. Those are my four codes, JSMT. So if I want to restrict all inputs to those codes, I can certainly do that by writing a constraint on job classification, check constraint, job classification can be only any one of these values, junior, senior, management, temporary. Now I have another field called job level. I want job level to be any number between 1 through 9. However, the difference between Social Security and job level is that Social Security was an integer field, so I could use an AND operator and I could give a range. But job level is not integer, it's character. Can I give a range in character values as well? Or do
No,
I
you would
have
have
to
to
use,
set the character
or do I have to use in? Can I use the and approach, or do I have to use the in approach for character?
in.
No, we can actually use the and approach for characters also. Job underscore level greater than 0 and job underscore level less than equals to 9. And something very similar to Social Security, I will be implemented on salary, and salary is decimal. So I will be giving a minimum and maximum range of salary. So constrained salary, where salary has to be greater than 0 and salary has to be less than 250,000. Okay, is it possible to apply more than one check constraints on the same field?
I would say yes.
Yes. Okay. And that's why I use CHK1 because I want to apply multiple check constraint on salary. So I'll change this to CHK2. And my next constraint will be that I want the salary to be always greater than commission. So again, it is possible to compare two fields. It is possible to compare date fields and also number fields. And we will add one last constraint, and that would be to enforce that either bonus will be more than 0 or commission will be more than 0. So employee cannot have 0 in both categories. So constraint, bonus, commission, check, constraint, where bonus has to be greater than 0 or commission has to be greater than 0. So it's an or between the two. Since this is my last check, that's why no comma after this one. And the keyboard shortcut to run the query is Control R. You can place your cursor anywhere in the statement and press Control R, and it'll run the query. Okay. Now let's try to run an insert, a successful insert on this table so that you can see how values are going through. Then we will play around to see all these constraints can be
Hello.
applied. Yes. 2024. So Chris, you will use the letter B after 2024 because that's what your table is called, okay? Values. My first one is my employee ID. That's an integer, so 1. Second one is a social security number, which is also an integer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I have a date, higher date. Let's say 2024, January 20th. Birth date, May 17, 1990. Then I have the job code. What are the possible values for job code or job class? SMT.
Does the
So,
date not matter that you did the ISO and then the other format?
you're right. You're right. Absolutely. Thank you. 1990, 517. And then we have our job level. So let's pick one of the job levels. And then we have sex. Then we have salary, 140,000. And then we have the bonus, right? Our commission, and then the bonus, and then the status. Okay. That ran successfully.